Welcome back to Match Night. The Vancouver Whitecaps on Wednesday night go for the four-peat at the TELUS Canadian Championship. Back-to-back Voyageurs Cup wins for the Whitecaps. They're trying to become just the second team to win 4 in a row. Toronto FC did it back from 2009 to 2012, a very different era of this competition. Now we're in the expanded era where the Whitecaps won 3 or 4 years ago now against TFC, then they beat Montreal, then TFC in the final. But this one is set to be a much different Canadian Championship final as they take on a CPL side. And not just that, the last place team in the Canadian Premier League in what turns out to be a compelling derby match as well for the first time ever, Vancouver Whitecaps against Vancouver FC. Wheeler Wilson Conway with you. Before we get into the specific matchup, let's talk about that four-peat. What would that mean for the Whitecaps as a club to go back to back to back to back? To back.
Talk to me nicely. Look, it's their tournament.
I think I added too many backs.
Nah, keep going. Back to back to back. Look, they have been in this tournament, but they've just been that team for 4 years. I think they deserve it. Obviously, you still have to go finish the job and beat Vancouver FC at home. But the way that they've played, I think this will just have them feeling good about a supporter shield, about their chances at MLS Cup playoff. Like, you look at this Vancouver Whitecaps team, and the reason why I'll give them a lot of credit, and I'll always remember this season, is because it hasn't been easy in terms of the injuries and the depth that they've had to be called upon early. Jesper Sørensen doesn't know this league. He was literally figuring out how CONCACAF Champions Cup worked. But he's used every single body and everyone's chipped in. You have to respect them, John. If they can get the four-peat done, which it looks like they will, this is a different type of class for Whitecaps.
Dynasty when it comes to Canadian Championship, and good on them. I mean, they deserve it. They've been excellent the last 4 years. And if they can do it again, kudos to them. I think it's an accomplishment that club should be proud of. And I think it is only a springboard, as you mentioned, to finish off the season strong.
Yeah.
The Whitecaps, I mean, all eyes are on them right now. Earlier today, Inter Miami dropped points against Toronto FC, another Canadian team, funny enough, in a 1-1 draw. It was Inter Miami before the weekend who controlled their own destiny in winning a supporter shield in Major League Soccer. Now it turns back to the Whitecaps with games in hand. Incredible. So, in saying that, priority for the Whitecaps. Yeah, winning CanChamp, but supporter shields on the line, MLS Cups on the line. He's got a ton of players who aren't fully fit, a ton of players who aren't fit whatsoever. So is Sørensen, based upon who he's playing, in a position to actually rotate in this CanChamp final? Can he take the risk, John?
He can, but I wouldn't risk it. I'd focus on the game and getting the job done. I'd start with your group, go out, get it done in the first half, and then make your subs, and then go from there. That's how I would approach it. There's too much on the line with getting automatic into Champions League next year. I think you just need to go out and do the job to start the game.
You say that, and I agree with John, but then I look at the team that was fielded that played Forge. Would you say that's an A+ Vancouver Whitecaps squad?
What is the A+ right now?
It's the best maybe from what they had, who needed a break into starting. Mueller didn't even play.
No.
Mueller was on the bench chilling.
He's been hurt.
He's been hurt. So it's like, you play your strongest squad, but I think they can survive with the Ngando and a Berhalter and Ahmed and Nelson, which is maybe the A-list, but is that the best that Vancouver Whitecaps have to offer? I mean, probably right now, just because of injuries.
Well, what I do know is he'll play a strong team because a number of his Canadians have been strong.
Yeah.
You know, Ali Ahmed, one of the top players on the team. Jaden Nelson has been outstanding in this competition specifically. He's been really good for them anyways. Bomer, the goalkeeper, can bring in Priso. Bilal Halbouni at center back has been a revelation stepping in for all the injuries at that position. So I think regardless, Sorensen's comfortable with his team. I think he can rotate. Yeah, but you want the Berhalters and the Ahmeds of the world to be in there. But if Brian White needs to come off the bench rather than start, I can see Sørensen holding back a little bit. He's got to be careful because White, having him fit, is the difference between a potential long run and potentially fizzling out. And that's the way MLS
And that was
Cup
the point I was trying to make. Rio started in that match against Forge. And
he's been okay.
And look, decent striker, but I was like, look, is there a chance where Forge run them, John? And they didn't on the day and lost by 4. They got a 4-piece. So, I mean, Vancouver FC, who would probably get a 4-piece by Forge, I mean, Rios will be good enough.
Depending on how things go, I mean, Ryan Gauld could be coming back next week and play a few minutes off the bench at the end of the game. We'll see what the context is. I wouldn't bring him in if the game is in doubt, not because he couldn't help, just at this point they need to be very careful with the player. Anything they get from Ryan Gauld is a bonus. Martin Nash, look, this is a huge win for the interim manager of Vancouver FC, the fact that he's got them to this point. They knocked out a very good team in Atletico Ottawa along the way. How do you approach this match, John? Are you saying, guys, we got to pack up shop, 10 in the box, and just defend for our lives? Is that a practical approach in this game, or is there another way forward for this group?
Yes, I don't know if I'd go that far and say we need to pack it up, but I do think the mindset needs to be keep the Whitecaps off the score sheet for as long as possible. Frustrate them, do whatever you can, and drag this out for as long as it goes, as long as you can, and then opportunities will present themselves because they'll start pushing forward. They'll get antsy because they're not getting the goal. And I think that's the one kind of savvy way to handle this without going, let's just pack it in and play 10 in the box.
Well, they played defensive, especially in the second half against Atletico Ottawa in the second leg. They ended up losing 1-0, lost the battle, won the war. But it was almost like they started out with a 4-2-3-1 formation, but Thierry Ba kind of could play back, so they kind of made it like a back five.
Yeah.
That's what it looked more like. But perhaps you need to take off one of those attacking players and just to add another body in the midfield.
Yeah.
Just to protect you, insulate. I know that you don't want to sit back too much, but, Hugo Mbong has played well, showed he can play on the counterattack. Mosqueda, former Whitecap, there's a storyline there. They're a much better player when he's in the team. Ba's been dynamic at times, but maybe that's how you make up and kind of adjust a little bit by putting in another player that can play some reliable football, clean football in the midfield.
I think I'd play the same formation that he played against Atletico Ottawa.
You think so?
The 5. That's what I think. I mean, speaking to Nash, he definitely had an approach that worked for the second leg. It's the best that Vancouver FC have played all year.
Yep.
They were disciplined. They ran the extra meters. But I will say this, from someone who played against Vancouver Whitecaps in the semifinals, and we didn't defend for York United as much as this team will, 90 minutes or 60 minutes where we were still in the game felt like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Where you're defending that much at BC Place, it will feel like 3 hours for Vancouver Whitecaps. So they have to strike some type of balance. If they sit back and play in their own half, this could be 7-0.
So, undoubtedly, if Vancouver FC wins this final, it will go down as the biggest upset in CanChamp history.
I'm getting tired.
Based on the context. Last place in CPL, a team that's chasing an MLS Cup. What percentage chance do you give Vancouver FC of striking an upset here? Is there a number?
Yeah, 5.
5%?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
1.9%.
See, I was going to go 2%.
Yeah, I'm a little bit lower
Just
than
like I like my milk. 2%.
There's a chance, though. You seen
we're
Little
saying
Giants?
There's a chance. Yeah.
So you're
Just
saying
takes
there's a
one time.
chance.
Yes.
Take one time.
And we'll see if Steve Nash shows up as well. It's a celebration of British Columbia football.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Honestly, it's cool it's happening in a final. Let's just hope it's not like an NCAA March Madness tournament. Like in the Final Four, you kind of want to see the top seeds. Sometimes when it's 1v12, it can get out of hand. Let's hope that this one's manageable. As for the first time, the Whitecaps taking on Vancouver FC. We got your coverage right here on One Soccer and TSN.